this one.
Greetings, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Healing Courageously. Hey, on this episode, we're going to talk about a really difficult process in the recovery area. And it was a process that I wanted nothing to do with in my recovery, whether it was from abuse or alcohol or, people hurting us or whatever. And to a lot of the people that I run across today, a lot of the people that I work with, I bring this up and they go, there's just no way I'm going to do that, right? And so it's a tough, difficult process to work through, but it's one, if you truly want to be free, that we must do. And I'll say we must do, right? There's not a lot of must in life, but this really is a process that freed me up. And for those of you that, or the question I would have is, how many of you have heard this statement before? Oh, come on, you just need to forgive, forget, and move on. It happened so long ago. What are you worried about? Just let it go and be over with it. Well, if you're one of the ones that are saying that, remove that statement from your vocabulary, because you're actually doing more harm than you are good. Your intentions are well, I understand that, but it's actually dumping a bunch of shame on top of people that they're already carrying shame. They don't need no more.
They don't need that anymore, yeah.
So what am I talking about? I'm talking about forgiveness. Now, we must forgive and we must move on. But forgetting is something that, for the most part, people don't forget about a lot of stuff. Some people forget, some people don't. But regardless of that, it's always, whatever happened to us in the past, it's always in our brain. It's always in the amygdala part of our brain. And sometimes you might not think somebody hurt you, or somebody hurt you or offended you or whatever, but then something triggers it, and all of a sudden, boom, you're just full of hate and anger and resentment towards a person.
So you had a difficult time with this in your journey. For me, this is probably one of my favorite topics to talk about.
Well, it's now mine too.
Yeah.
Both of ours, actually.
Yeah, I love the topic of forgiveness. And for me, and we'll discuss a little bit further, the process that I went through, but I want to say that forgiveness is a process.
Yes.
It doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, but because we're in the month of November, the months of Thanksgiving, for me, this is a great time to be thinking about it. Although most of my hurt that was done was in this month, ironically.
Ooh, yeah.
And so.
But that was 18 years ago.
It was.
Wow,
it was. But it still can't. I can still remember.
Oh yeah.
But I don't hold on to it anymore, and that's the beauty of forgiveness. So, being that we're in the month of November, and it is a month of Thanksgiving. It is also a month that we are around family members and things, people that may have harmed us or hurt us. It's a perfect topic to talk about this time of year.
Exactly. And, one of the things we'll talk about, what is unforgiveness, what's forgiveness, what forgiveness is not, is really important, because I thought if you forgive somebody, then you condone what they did to you and they were allowed back in your life, and there's so many.
Gave him a free pass.
You gave him a free pass. Exactly. Yeah. So, and the important thing, right up front, that we'll tell you is that the forgiveness is never for the what's called perpetrators. Never for the perpetrator, right? The forgiveness is always for you. Yeah. The forgiveness was for me, because I was the one that was holding on to the anger, the anger, the hate, the resentment.
Hey, that's a new word, anger.
Yeah. Well, I was the one that was suffering.
Yeah.
Good chance my stepfather was, as a matter of fact, I know he was suffering, because I wasn't the only one he had molested in my family. He molested a lot of people.
Yeah.
So, but I had to learn how to forgive him and let it go.
Can I start with this one? I like this.
What?
What is unforgiveness?
Yeah.
What is unforgiveness? So unforgiveness has been defined as a combination of delayed negative emotions like resentments, bitterness, hostility, hatred, anger, and fear towards a transgressor. And those emotions, if any of you guys have felt those, you know that they're you feel them in your body. It's not just in your head that you feel them. You feel them in your heart. You feel them in your stomach.
Mm-hmm.
Those are things that are burdens to be carrying around. I know for me, I didn't want to carry those around.
Right.
So those were things that because all of those negative emotions, they cause illness within
Right.
the body. They cause
Right.
you to be sick physically, and not only emotionally, but physically.
Exactly. I think, I don't know if you remember when we were living in Cyprus, you had to take me to the hospital in the middle of the night with those stomach issues that I had as a teenager too. And the doctor said, there's nothing wrong with him.
Yeah, that was terrible.
And so what that was a result of is all the abuse I've been through.
Yeah.
And I was holding on to a lot of unforgiveness.
Yeah, that's good.
So it does, and then we'll go through a little bit of the effects of unforgiveness. So, yeah, so unforgiveness is nasty. It causes a lot of problems. And you're the
Physically,
only
emotionally, and
physically.
Also, it bleeds out on the rest of your family
Yeah,
members.
exactly.
That's
Right,
the other thing,
right,
is that it
right.
bleeds on people who
Absolutely.
didn't even hurt you. So
Yeah.
it's a dark space to be in.
Yeah, that bitterness and hatred and anger and fear and all that, that all, like Cathy says, it bleeds out on your family. It'll bleed out on your friends.
Your work environment.
And if you're a drinking person, if for me, I thought I was, charismatic type guy. Charismatic type cat, right? Hey, I still believe that I was until I drank.
Yeah.
And then this stuff would come up.
But you were even more charismatic.
Oh,
when you drank.
Let's not go
But
there.
using those feelings,
right.
those emotions.
Right,
so
exactly.
that's the thing. They just escalated.
Yeah, it just escalates. So you got to be, and this has all been scientifically, medically, psychologically proven. These are all facts that we're talking about. These aren't, something we dreamed up. These are all facts, okay? Cathy, we mentioned a few, but, what about the effects of unforgiveness on a person? This is the other thing we want to look at, right? When you don't forgive others, you put yourself in prison, right?
Yeah,
I was
bars.
the one in prison. Yeah.
Yeah.
My stepfather was living his life however he wanted to live it. My mom was living her life not even thinking about me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the one that was in prison for all those years, constantly bringing up the abuse. If you lived, what happened to you happened to me. You'd be acting this way. You'd be drinking this way. You'd be doing this. So I was the one in prison.
Yeah.
Your freedom is completely stripped away from you, whether you realize it or not.
Yeah, that's good.
That's
a hard one, though.
It's a hard one, right? Because you think, no, I'm free because I can say what I want, do what I want. Well, I was on a daily basis trying to figure out how I could plotting my stepfather's assassination for 38 years, and it didn't work. Thank God.
When you think about that, your freedom is stripped from you. Just before that, you put yourself in prison. So think about that. When you're in prison, you are not free.
That's a good point, because you want to hurt perpetrators, okay? And let's talk about sexual abuse and physical abuse that do a lot of harm to people, right? I'll take myself. If I was ever to run across my perpetrator, which God didn't allow to happen, and if that happened, and if I was to harm him or kill him, either way, I don't think I'd kill him. Okay, I'm in prison emotionally already, right? I got a family, I got a nice home, I got a nice bit, I got all that, right? So I hurt him or I kill him. Now I'm in a physical prison. Talk about being in prison. Now I can't see my wife. Now I can't see my children. Now I got a felony. Now I lose my bit. I lose everything.
Yeah. Unforgiveness can take you down that rabbit hole very quickly.
Absolutely. It does no good to wish ill will on perpetrators.
What else are some of the effects?
From the religious or universal perspective, if you don't forgive, you won't be forgiven. Right?
Yeah.
If you're a person that's in recovery, and the Lord's Prayer is said, and at the end of a lot of meetings, it says, "Forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us." Are you just mumbling those words because it's what everybody is saying, or are you actually practicing the principles like we're supposed to be doing?
Yeah.
Okay. You want to say something?
Well, no, I was just the negative effects of our health is kind of one of the things I touched on, but there's some things that I didn't think about. You're increasing your stress levels, which changes the cortisone in your body.
Yep.
Weight gets put on.
Yep.
Intensify negative emotions. That everything escalates. Having headaches, stomach aches, muscle tension. It's been said to interfere with the body's hormonal and immune system. So there's a lot of things that unforgiveness affects physically in our bodies as well.
Absolutely. And I experience a lot of those,
Yeah.
a whole lot of those.
Yeah,
So,
that's good.
Cathy, why do we forgive? I mean,
Well,
why must I forgive somebody that did that much harm to me?
yeah. Why do we forgive? It's not because the person deserves it. It's to gain control of our lives and from the hurt emotions. And for me, I can honestly say that Randy didn't deserve the forgiveness,
No, I didn't.
but I deserved the forgiveness. I
That's good.
deserve to be free of the emotions that the hurt caused me. And in doing so, it gave me back control of my emotions.
All right.
Because my emotions will still get the best of me, but I manage them differently. And forgiveness allowed me that opportunity, especially in our relationship. Because there's times when, and I know that there's men and women out there that is, sometimes we struggle in our marriage. But what I do appreciate is each time I have forgiven, it makes it easier to forgive again. Because there's been
Right.
times in our relationship where I felt hurt or
Right.
something you've said,
Mm-hmm.
but because I was able to forgive once, I'm able to forgive again
Mm-hmm.
and again. It makes it easier to forgive. And remember, I'm forgiving for myself, not for anybody else.
Well, and then a couple things on that is that it made it easier for me to want to work on myself
that's
and repair
better.
our marriage. I wanted to be better
Yeah.
because Cathy had forgiven me. It was 18 years, like I mentioned earlier, and not once has she thrown that affair in my
Yeah, no,
in my
that's
face.
good. And I
Not
think
once.
that's what that's really good that you said that, because I don't think about my forgiveness helping you.
Right.
I think my forgiveness is for myself, but
Yes.
look at the benefits
Right.
that it helps both of us in that manner.
In our marriage, and I think that not all cases are like that.
Yeah.
I gotta say that because
It takes two willing hearts,
Right.
and I think that's the benefit that we have. Is we have willing hearts for each
Correct.
other, and we want our marriage to work. We want our marriage to excel. We want to keep our marriage sacred. So we both work at that process. What's another?
Well, and the Bible also tells us
Yes.
how often are we supposed to forgive? 70 times 7.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and
So
that's
we
how-
forgive to be forgiven as
Yeah,
well.
yeah. So if we want to be forgiven, right, we need to forgive.
Yeah.
Right, and I think it's 100. I had a number. I want to say 120 sometimes that give and forgiveness is mentioned in the Bible.
Yeah, that's good. We forgive so we can live in peace.
Absolutely live in peace. The day that I walked out of my therapist's office after the full forgiveness took place, the weight of the world was off of my shoulders. I mean, it changed my life immensely.
Yeah.
Immensely.
If you have been harmed physically, emotionally, sexually, or spiritually, remember that the abuser or the offender, they're broken just like we once were. So that doesn't make it okay.
Right.
It's just one of those mindful things that we've got to be aware of.
Yeah,
That's all.
it's not condoning or
No.
co-signing what they did to you, because what they did to you in the eyes of humanity, in the eyes of God, is an absolute
Yeah.
sin, is absolutely wrong. It's probably the worst case. I think it could be even worse than murder, because what's happening is perpetrators are assassinating our character.
But I think that the beauty in all of that, when there's beauty in ashes, is that you don't have to have a relationship with them. And I'm sure we'll talk about that too. But
Right.
that comes to mind is just
Right.
because they were broken doesn't mean we have to fix them. We have to help them. We have to have a relationship with them.
Right.
That's
No,
really important.
We got a bunch of them here. And,
Yeah.
in my book, Healing the Wounded Child Within, chapter 12 goes over all of this. So.
Yeah, it's great.
So then, why do we forgive? Okay, and according to Fitzgibbon's Abused Boys, it's a book that he wrote. Here are 4 benefits of forgiveness. Okay, 4 benefits: freedom from the subtle control of individuals on events of the past.
That's good.
See, you don't realize it, but they're controlling the people that you're holding on to unforgiveness. They're controlling your life in many ways you're unaware of. And you're not going
Your
around
current
thinking,
life, not just your past.
Yeah, your current
everything
life.
that you're doing.
Exactly.
That's good.
Exactly. I mean, it was like with me, my stepfather, my mom. It was controlling my anger, my resentment, my hate.
It was affecting, bleeding again on us.
Right.
Bleeding
Exactly.
on us. So that's good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A decreased likelihood that the anger will be misdirected towards others who are not responsible for the hurt.
There we are.
Kathy's brought
blood.
it up. There it is again. The blood.
Bleeding again.
Right. The anger. You know, Cathy and my kids. Not. It was 21 years before I got into 22 years before I got into recovery. 21 years before I had the affair. Those 21 years. Out of that, there was probably 4 or 5 that it just slowly got worse and worse and worse towards the end. Okay, so it wasn't like the 21 years was all full of this stuff.
No, it was those last 5 years or so that really escalated.
And he absolutely controlled everything about me at a subconscious level.
Yeah, that's good.
It's a lessening of fear of violent impulses. Why do we forgive? I mean, Vicky, I haven't had any violent thoughts since I forgave him. All right, I'm not I don't consider myself a violent person, but there were some violent thoughts and impulses, screaming and yelling. There's violence. I mean, my counselor Betty Ford said, "You're a terrorist." I go, "Excuse me, I'm not no terrorist." She goes, "Randy,
you're an unforgiven person at that point.
You terrorized your family, Randy." And I go, "Oh."
That's true.
That hurts.
It hurts, but that's what it felt like now that you put words to it.
And a facilitation of the reconciliation of relationships, if so desired.
Yeah.
Forgiveness takes one person. Reconciliation takes 2.
Yeah.
Okay, so that doesn't mean you have to reconcile. So Cathy, tell us, what is forgiveness?
Forgiveness is the intentional and voluntary process by which a victim undergoes a change in feelings and attitude regarding an offense. Lets go of negative emotions such as revenge with an increased ability to wish the offender well. And that sounds scary. Why would I want to wish the offender well? Yeah, that's a tough one.
Well, it's in the big book of 552, page 552 of AA, it says to pray for the person that you're having problems with every day for it just says 2 weeks, and pray that they get what you want.
Right, that's
and
good.
Believe me, that you got to be kidding me, right? But it works. I promise you, it works. Yeah. But I like this by Don Miguel Ruiz. And if you haven't read his book, The 4 Agreements, I'm going to suggest that you get it and read it. It's a great book. But he says, if I don't forgive you, I carry the corpse of your actions over my shoulders.
That's heaviness.
Could you imagine Cathy carrying me on her shoulders?
Or me carrying you on,
Yeah, that's what I mean.
You carry me on, That's
you carry
heavy.
Me because of what I did to you.
Yeah, no,
I know carrying Jack and my mom over was not fun.
Yeah,
a lot of heaviness.
That
really
is.
heavy.
That is. What is forgiveness? It can mean giving up my right to hurt you for hurting me, spiritually, emotionally, physically, by means of shaming, shunning, and the silent treatment.
Ooh.
I've done that silent treatment before. I was that was one of my things, and I don't. Sometimes I think, was it the silent treatment or was it shutting down? But really, it was both. Even shutting down.
Shaming and shunning. Look at as victims of perpetration, whatever it is, emotional, physical, spiritual abuse, whatever it is. We all know what shaming, shunning, and silent treatment feels like, and it's not fun. It hurts. It's bad. I mean, it's just not good. So why would we want to cast that onto anybody else? Well, they did it to me. Doesn't matter. 2 wrongs don't make a right.
Right. That's your giving up your right to hurt
Jesus
somebody.
says, "Turn the cheek." He slaps you on the cheeks. Turn the other cheek. Right.
Also, what is forgiveness? It's impossible to live in this world without getting hurt, offended, lied to, misunderstood, or rejected. We're gonna get hurt. We're gonna be lied to.
I remember with Deborah, my therapist, Deborah, we're in a session. She goes, "Randy, you need to hear this." I go, "What?" "You're gonna get hurt. You're gonna get offended. You're gonna get lied to, misunderstood, and you're gonna get rejected in this lifetime." I go, "You didn't just tell me that." I wanted to slap her, But that's the truth,
Yeah.
right? I didn't think that. Why are people doing this? Well, because they're hurt,
Yeah.
right? They're hurt too. People are hurt, and they're gonna spew their hurt on top of you.
Yeah, and I think that's just that reminder that I want to forgive so that I don't have that feeling. I want to understand people. I want to, be compassionate, sympathetic, and understanding, and empathetic as well. And then the last thing that's the hardest one.
I tell you,
we struggle with this with a lot of people,
with a lot
including
of people,
ourselves,
right?
is we learn to not take things personally. And that kind of reminds me of our tattoo that we just got. We both got one here. Let them. And there was a thing on Facebook that came about that basically this young woman, her mother instilled that in her. Don't worry about people judging you. Don't worry about them talking about you. Don't worry about you not being the best guitarist. Don't worry about you not being the best at this, that, or the other thing. Let them talk about you. Let them judge you.
You say guitarist for a reason?
Well, no, but now that I said it, it kind of makes sense. But it's not taking things personally. Let them. Be the best you are. Be the best God has created you to be, not what everybody else thinks you should be.
And oftentimes when I speak at facilities or in public or whatever, when I say that we need to learn to not take things personally, people go, well, how am I supposed to not think personally when they're talking about me? I go, because it has nothing to do with you. They're projecting their hurt and their pain on you, right? We understand it's a hard concept to grasp, but start grasping it, because generally when somebody insults you, it has nothing to do with you.
It's like I tell my girls, sometimes we have to take risk, and
yeah,
that's one of those areas where just take a risk. Just walk away. Don't let it bother you. Don't take it personally. So what are some other things in forgiveness, honey?
It's a universal spiritual principle.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're Christian, Buddhist, Hindu, Native American. The principle is the same. In order to be forgiven, we must forgive. I mean, all those religions, all of them.
This is what I love. Forgiveness emphasizes the concepts of loving kindness, compassion, sympathetic joy, welcoming the good future of others, and equanimity, mental calmness, and evenness of temper, especially in difficult situations. So I know I can honestly say when Randy got to a place of forgiveness with his stepdad and his mom, there was a calmness about him. Now, not to say that he can't escalate. We all can. But even in difficult situations, I might be more escalated than you will be these days.
Right.
And
I've actually kind of switched a little bit.
It's kind of switched a little bit, in that, because he definitely has been calmer in his forgiveness. What is forgiveness? The word of forgiveness means to wipe the slate clean.
It's actually a accounting term, is what it really comes from.
That's good.
Right.
To pardon, to cancel the debt. There you go.
Cancel the debt. Right.
Yeah. It's also the cessation of resentment, anger, as a result of real or perceived offense, disagreement, or mistake.
This is hard here.
Yeah, you got that one.
We have a part in everything that we do. Now, that does exclude if you've been sexually abused or physically abused, especially as a child. As an adult, it could be a little dicey, but we have a part in everything that we do.
I just want to add real quick to that, in the affair, for example, just so people understand, this is not condoning Randy's behavior in our affair, but I know for me, my part in that was that I didn't use my voice. I didn't speak up. I didn't, I shut down in our relationship as a result of a lot of things. So my part was I didn't understand that until much later, that my part in that was just not being able to voice my opinion, not being able to speak my truth.
Right.
And I was an enabler as well. Exactly. So that was another part of it.
Exactly.
So let's talk about what forgiveness is not.
And this, I hope you are all listening to this, and this is, like I say, you can find a lot of this in my book, Healing the Wounded Child Within Us, in chapter 12. This is really important. So, first of all, forgiveness is not approving or diminishing the abuse. I want you to understand that. Forgiveness is for you, not for the perperpetrator.
Yeah.
Okay?
So if you've been abused, it is not about the other person.
And
it is about you. Your heart, your mind, your soul.
Again, let's talk, when we're saying abuse, you could be abused at work by your boss, by the way he talks to you, by the way he treats you, okay? So there's so many different ways that you can be abused, right? So it doesn't matter what it is, you're not approving or diminishing the abuse. Forgiveness is not enabling the abuse, so you're not
forgiving and taking more in.
Yeah, I mean, actually the pastor of my church back when I was a kid, when he said, it's not your fault, Randy, it's part of growing up, and you're not gay, that enabled my stepfather in the abuse. All forms of abuse got worse after that, okay? It's not denying the wrongdoing. It's not denying it at all. It happened. You can't deny it, right? Forgiveness is not waiting for an apology. Oh, do not wait for an apology. And so you forgive them before they apologize. And you might not ever get an apology. Forgiveness is between you and God, right? Yeah. And when we're helping people, well, should I go tell them I forgave them? No. Because you're setting yourself up for a lot of things that can go terribly wrong, and you don't need to carry that any more shame.
You worked hard enough to get to a place of forgiveness. You don't need to open up that wound and allow more salt to be poured on it. That's really what it comes down to.
Exactly. Yeah. Very, very well said. Forgiveness is not forgetting. Okay, doesn't mean you're ever gonna. If you're abused, you'll probably never forget it, right? It might be in the back of your mind. You'll be able to learn not to live in that or waller in that abuse anymore. Excuse me, man. You'll learn not to dwell in it anymore, but you'll be able to move through it. And when you get triggered, you'll be able to work through it.
This one's important too, I think. Forgiveness is not ceasing to feel the pain. It still hurts. It's okay for it to bother you.
Absolutely.
And I think that's something that is really important to remember, is that whatever has happened to you where you feel like you need to forgive somebody, it hurt. And it's okay that it hurt, and it's okay that it still hurts. But again, you want to forgive for your own mindset.
A good example of that is we've been on the healing journey for over 17 years, right? Been in alcohol recovery for 16 and a half. Is that every once in a while we'll be driving down the road and something will trigger something in my head. And I'll turn to Cathy and I'll just simply say, man, I'm angry right now. Cathy will go, why are you angry? I go, because I just was thinking about, what Jack did to me, how he took away my childhood and blah, blah, just something real simple like that. And Cathy goes, okay, I can understand why you'd be angry, right? And then it's over with.
Right. Okay,
because I felt it, I voiced it, Cathy says, okay, yeah, you have it right, I can understand that. And then it goes away.
Yeah.
Okay. It comes and goes. It's okay. You were hurt. It's a soul wound that's deep, very deep.
Yeah, that's good. There's just a few more here we have on what forgiveness is not. Forgiveness is not a one-time event. Sometimes forgiveness is something that is regularly required. So it's like I shared earlier, sometimes I gave Randy for the big event, but there are small events that take place in our marriage, and we have to forgive each time. But like I said, once I started forgiveness is easy. It's almost like an amends for me. Once I start making my amends, it makes it easier to do it with the next person or the next event.
And I think what makes that easier for both of us, right, is that we've learned how to just, for the moment, just walk away. Don't say nothing.
Right now.
And then we let each other be, right? We give each other our time. And then the forgiveness just automatically flows into our life. Right? We don't hold grudges against each other.
That's great. Forgiveness is not neglecting justice.
Right.
You can forgive and pursue justice.
Absolutely.
I mean, there are situations where justice needs to be done.
Absolutely.
And just because you forgive doesn't mean you ignore the fact that the person has a consequence to their action.
We have to
legal consequence.
And we have to remember that God forgives, but we have the law of the land that we must abide by. Okay. And my first therapist that I ever went to actually had the report, my stepfather. I don't ever know what became of it.
Yeah.
But who knows?
It
But
was
he
required.
had, it was required by him to do that.
Yeah.
It's,
What's this next one?
forgiveness is not trusting. Believe me, we need to be exceedingly careful with who we trust.
Yeah.
Man, trust can be broken, right? And for some people, it might have been broken one too many times, and you're never going to trust that person.
And that's
again.
okay.
And
There's
that's
nothing wrong
okay.
with that. You just need to forgive. But that kind of goes hand in hand with the next one here that you have is forgiveness does not mean that the person will ever be allowed back in your life.
Or that you ever have to have a relationship with that person again.
Right.
Right? And so it's like, there's people in my life recently that have betrayed me badly, right? That I don't, believe me, if I see them, how you doing? They come up to me, I'm kind because that's what I'm supposed to do. But I don't trust them as far as I can throw them, right? So that's okay.
Yeah.
All right? So, Cathy, what does it mean to forgive?
It means to accept the pain. Acceptance does not mean approval. Remember, we're going to have that pain. We're going to feel the pain. We have to accept that pain. Doesn't mean we have to like it. Doesn't mean we have to act on it. We just have to sit and process in it.
And the longer you fight it,
Yeah.
the longer you fight the pain, the longer it's going to be going to have control over you. Okay.
Yeah.
Acceptance does not mean approval. Just accept it. You don't have to approve it.
Yeah.
But if you're not accepting, you're fighting for control over a situation you have no control
over. And it means that we accept within ourselves the consequences of the actions of others.
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
We're accepting that other person's got his own consequences.
And and that's for me to accept, not for anybody else either. That's the other part too, is what you may accept one thing as consequences where I may accept it different.
Right.
If we've been hurt by the same person over the same thing.
Exactly.
We're gonna have different consequences of that action that we have to accept.
And for instance, the betrayal that I'm talking about, we have two
very different views
of it, right?
Of what was hurt.
Neither of them, to Cathy's views aren't right or wrong, and mine aren't right or wrong to her. I mean, there are views, and that's okay, right? They're not hurting me because forgiveness is part of our life. So,
yeah, forgiveness means letting go of the right to punish another.
Oh, darn it!
No, stay stuck. Don't forgive. That's what that does.
Yeah.
And it means that we cancel all the debt that is owed. So we're not carrying that burden, and we're not carrying the debt that goes with it.
Right. No, it's not ours to carry.
It's costly. It's too costly.
It's ugly.
So, Randy, how do we forgive?
Okay. These are just some simple steps to start. First step you got to do is you just have to commit. Notice the word commit to letting go. Mm-hmm. Just commit to starting the work to let go.
And one thing that I heard, and I thought it was really, maybe it was you even that said it, is just for today, forgive.
Yeah, just for today.
You don't have to forgive tomorrow, the next day, or 3 weeks from now. Just for today, forgive. So that commit to letting go can be commit to letting go today.
Right.
Just today. I love that.
Right. I want to, for some reason, when it comes to forgiveness too, I can remember talking to a lady. It was in the Bible college I was at, and we got on the subject of forgiveness, and she was saying how she had this ex-partner that was just mean to her, right? And that she had forgiven him. Well, every class we'd show up, she would bring this up, right? And finally, about the fourth or fifth conversation, she looked at me after having some just real general conversations, not telling her what she should do or shouldn't do. She goes, Randy, she goes, I guess I never have forgiven him because I'm still holding on to that bitterness.
Yeah.
I go, yeah.
Commit.
Just commit. And you're right, you haven't. But just keep working at it.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not going to come overnight. Okay. Think about the pros and the cons.
Write them down.
Write them down.
Put your two lists together.
And if you have to, sit down with a coach, a mentor, a sponsor, a therapist, whoever, to write that list with that can help you through that process. Realize that you have a choice. Yeah. You're either choosing to let go or you're choosing to hold on. Yeah. Right? And if you're choosing to hold on, black and white. I mean,
no gray.
There's no gray in this one. Okay.
Yeah.
Because this is hard, but this is where I had to get to. Become empathetic. Mm-hmm. Right? And again, that's not the condone or co-sign what they've done, but becoming empathetic for them when it will come down to me and I had to walk through my stepfather's life with my therapist, the possibilities of my...
Yeah.
It was like, what did they go through?
And you have to be empathetic to yourself to a certain degree
exactly,
as well.
Yeah,
I think that's important to understand. It's not just the other person, but for yourself.
Right, exactly.
That you're in a place that's difficult. You're in a place of burden. You're in a place of bitterness and anger.
Right.
It's okay.
It's okay.
Empathize with yourself to free yourself.
And again, I can't, or we can't stress the importance of having a mentor, a coach, or a therapist, somebody that understands this stuff and will allow you to sit down, allow you to talk about these things,
and walk
through it with you, and give you some different perspectives. Not tell you what you can or can't do, but just give you some different perspectives to look at.
Guide you. Yeah.
Right. Understand your responsibility, and again, there's places where you have no responsibility, then there's other places where you have responsibility.
Right, we've got to be open to that.
You got to be open to that, okay? Here's the good thing. Focus on the present.
Yeah.
Okay?
You're not there. You're not back there.
And you're never going to be hurt as bad as you were at the point of abuse, whatever that might have been. Again, it's going to hurt walking through this, but never as bad as it was.
Yeah,
and you're gonna be with safe people. If you get the right therapist, coach, whatever, you'll be with a safe person to walk through this with you. Allow peace to enter your life.
That just sounds good.
It does.
Just allow peace to enter. Be willing to let that peace come into your life. I think we've protected ourselves so much from the anger and the bitterness that we forget that it's okay to have peace.
And here's how that works. It's kind of funny, or how it worked with me, is that you might be working on stuff, and maybe you're meditating one day or whatever, whatever you're doing, and you might get this feeling of bliss and peace. It only lasts 30 seconds. That's a start. Hold on to that 30 seconds.
That's 30 seconds more than you had the day before, I'm pretty sure.
No, exactly. And it will grow.
Yeah.
If you keep going forward, it gets better and better and better. And then the last one is to feel compassion.
Yeah.
For yourself, and also, for the other person that, what's gone wrong in their life, right? So, a couple things here. I love this saying. It's by Buddha, right? If I'm sitting in a field and a tree fell on me, do I blame the tree? I can't control the tree falling, but I can control what I do when I see the tree falling.
That's good.
If I'm sitting in a field and a tree fell on me, do I blame the tree? I can't control the tree falling, but I can control what I do when I see the tree falling. Think about that.
That's good.
All right.
That's really good. Wow, that's a lot to pack in. That was forgiveness is, like I said, one of my favorite subjects. So
yeah, and it is mine. It didn't used to be, but it's mine now.
It is today.
Right, exactly.
So we hope that you guys enjoyed this episode. Just want to remind you that share this with somebody.
Right.
We've all had to get to forgiveness somewhere, and maybe we still need to in some areas of our life. And maybe you know somebody that could also benefit from it. So just ask that you like and share our podcast with your friends and family, coworkers. We want to make sure that we are helping as many people as we can through this method of podcasting.
And this is something we can definitely, at Change Your Life Story Now, we can definitely help you work through.
Yeah, we can definitely work through.
We're patient, non-judgmental, we're loving, we're kind, we're caring.
Yeah, so that's just a reminder too that, go to changeyourlifestorynow.com. You can sign up for a 30-minute free consultation, whether it be on forgiveness or relationships or marriages, whatever it is. There's so many things. You can check out our website and see all the different services that we do offer. I also just want to remind you, we're still in our 30-day challenge of gratitude.
Right.
We are posting every day what we are grateful for, and just want to encourage you to do so and to tag Healing Courageously in that, in your social media post. Also, just wanted to remind you that we Change Your Life Story Now, in conjunction with our nonprofit foundation, the Courageous Healers Foundation. We are here to help as many people as we can through our services of mentoring, counseling, coaching. And so if you go to changeyourlifestorynow.com, there will be a link that will take you to our foundation. And because we are a nonprofit, we are seeking donations. So if you have the ability to make a donation, we would love to have it. You can sign up to do it monthly, once, whatever it is. If you financially are not in a position to do that, we just ask that you keep us prayerfully in your prayers so that we can continue to reach out and be able to offer our services to little to no cost to others.
Right.
So what else you got for us on your books?
Well, and then lastly here, we got our books, and Healing the Wounded Child Within. And then we also got the Spanish version, which I should have pulled out, but Healing the Wounded Child Within. It's available on Amazon in audiobook, Kindle, and on paperback. Also on Amazon is the Spanish version, which is a paperback and Kindle, and the 30-day challenge. 30-day devotional to wholeness. I'm sorry, 30-day devotional.
30 days going on.
Wow, it's a great devotional. I highly suggest that you purchase one, and you can read it by yourself or read it with your spouse at night. And then there's some contemplative questions at the end of every devotion. And then of course the 7-day challenge workbook that goes with Healing the Wounded Child. They're all available on Amazon. So get your copies now.
So thank you guys again for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you very much. And we hope you enjoyed this. We know forgiveness is hard, but it will change your life.
It will free you.
It absolutely will free you. And start with a little forgiveness.
Just for today.
Just for today.
Yeah.
Right? And then work your way to the bigger ones, okay?
And if you need help on forgiveness, please reach out. We're here to help you,
Absolutely.
guide you, and walk you through that.
Absolutely.
So that's great.
All right, remember, if nobody tells you they love you today, Randy does.
Cathy does.
More importantly, God does.
God does.
We'll see you on the next episode, everybody. Be blessed. Be blessed, be blessed, be blessed.
This has been Healing Courageously with Randy Boyd. We will have a new episode every Monday. Please like us on iTunes or Google Play. If you would like to know more about the services available from Randy, please visit him at changeyourlifestorynow.com. Thank you for spending time with us. We'll see you next week. And remember, if nobody tells you they love you today, Randy does.